So what's one of the main weaknesses of this theory? It's too simple. Okay? It doesn't seem to account for all the kind of activities that humans can perform. I mean, how can you say I chained a bunch of reflexes together and come up with a gold medal performance in figure skating or any other sport or any other kind of movements we do just daily lives that you kind of take for granted? Okay, so the idea would just seem too simple to most people that we could put together a series of individual reflexes in some way and get this kind of movement. Okay, another more damaging, kind of from a scientific standpoint, damaging piece of information was how could you perform movements in the absence of sensory feedback? Okay, remember the theory says that we receive information from the environment and that's going to trigger a reflex. Okay, so what if you took away the ability to sense things? Okay, should you be able to make a movement? Well, okay, let's go back. What if we get back on the table and cross my leg and tap me on the patellar tendon? Okay, that reflex is triggered by the stretch of this muscle, and there are stretch receptors in this muscle. Okay, what if you didn't have these stretch receptors? Okay, what if there was no sensory feedback? Could you make a movement according to the theory? Right? I mean, the whole chain of movement starts with what? Some kind of sensory input that was in a result of some event in the external environment. Okay, you take away the ability to sense that event, then in theory you couldn't have movement. Is that clear? I mean, that's an important part of this theory. The idea is the entire movement chain starts with sensory feedback. You take away sensory feedback, then how am I going to start the chain? It's not going to work. Okay, so what happens if you could find examples where you took away sensory feedback and you could still move? Then would the theory be supported or negated? Okay, what if I shot a bunch of Novocaine or some drug into my muscle here and I couldn't sense that stretch? Would I produce a stretch reflex or cause extension of my leg? Right, I mean, there's no way, right? This kicking out of my leg is a result of sensing the stretch of the muscles. Okay, and the response to that stretch is this automatic extension or contraction of this muscle. Okay, if I have no ability to sense that stretch, I can't possibly produce a response or a reflex. I mean, is that clear? This is an important point to get because we're going to contrast it with the next theory here in a few minutes. So the theory says you need sensory feedback. And if I can come up with examples that I can still produce movement without having any sensory feedback, then the reflex theory is not going to be supported. Okay? The whole idea is we're passive recipients of this external information. And if I can't receive that information, supposedly I can't move. Okay.